Yo, what is up? The big news today is Sandbox 2021 is up. I highly suggest you read about it in the article that is out in the game portal, Sandbox 2021. Try out the reworked HE shells. There is a video there. I highly suggest you watch this video in its entirety. You can skip forward a little bit. We'll go through the video just a little bit, but let me tell you, the Sandbox is up. HE shells rebalance is the first order of the day. There is a couple of things you do need to know, so go through the videos, read through the article if you want, but definitely try out the Sandbox server. It is very important that your input is taken into account, because what they're going to do is go forward and make decisions that is going to affect you for at least another 2-3 years. So the direction of this game is really up in your hands. You gotta go do it and play it. Do the survey, tell them if you like it or if you don't like it, and then they will decide if they are going to move forward with what's going on. Basically, the Sandbox is going to be divided into 3 things, which is, the first thing is the dealing with HE shells. The second thing they're going to deal with maybe next week or the week after. Basically, it's 3 parts. First, they start with HE shells. Second, they're gonna introduce Crew 2.0 in the Sandbox as well, so you can try out the new mechanics, whether you like it or you don't like it. And then the third part is going to be the artillery rework. They're gonna nerf artillery. Artillery is gonna do less damage. You're going to get a warning lamp and stuff like that. So that's going to come later on. But this week, or I don't know, 10 days or whatever, it's going to be just HE shells. So it's going to be done in 3 stages: HE shells, Crew 2.0, and then artillery rework. And then in the final stage, I suppose, I am speculating that they will put all these 3 things together into one complete package for you to test out in the fourth stage of this Sandbox trial. So how do you do it? How do you get the Sandbox? So basically, you go to your game center and you can download the Sandbox right here. If you already have it, it will automatically update, and then you can immediately get into the game. It is already live. You can try it out immediately. You have to have X amount of number of games to qualify, or you need to be a registered player from a certain time. You need to have a little bit of history before they allow you to download the Sandbox server. So not all the new players might not get the Sandbox server automatically downloaded, but if you are a regular player, an old player, you will have this Sandbox available to you. But oh yeah, also when you play the Sandbox server, you also get some goodies. Every time you progress, you get some points and blah blah blah. So you get premium days, you get personal reserves, you get personal reserves for your crew, boosters, combat reserves. You get some credits, you get some stickers. You also get some you also get some style or camo to commemorate your participation in the Sandbox server. So that's pretty good. You are rewarded. They want as many people as possible testing it out, because the more people try it out, the better, the more accurate that this test is going to be. But anyway, let's go check out the video, and basically yeah, we'll watch a little bit of it. I've got 3 sections out already for you, so let's
the game. After HE shells, the crew and artillery features will be tested on the Sandbox. These tests will be combined into a single cycle. For your active participation in the tests, you'll be rewarded with different in-game items, which will be added to your main game accounts. Learn more about rewards on the game's website.
Yeah, so there you go. You play the game, you get some rewards divided into 4 stages. HE, which is what's going on right now, and then you have the crew, and then later on you have artillery, and then in the 4th and final stage, all 3 of them combined. Let's watch the next clip, which I've highlighted.
Currently, the damage inflicted by HE shells is based on volume. Each shell has a specific shell burst radius. After penetrating the armor, an HE shell gets inside the vehicle and bursts there, causing maximum damage to the vehicle and damaging the internal modules and crew within the burst radius. When a shell fails to penetrate the armor at the point of impact, it explodes and generates a sphere corresponding to the shell's burst radius. Within this sphere, the shell mechanics looks for a spot on the vehicle's armor where the highest damage will be inflicted. Quite often, this spot is not the same as the impact point, which leads to an unpredictable result. Let's look at an example. Here's the mouse and the FV4005. With the current HE shell mechanics, the British vehicle can easily cause 570 to 850 damage to the mouse's frontal armor per shot. And that's why, when the FV fires at the German vehicle's cheek, that very sphere is generated. The mechanic looks for the most suitable part to cause damage to, finds the hull roof, which is 50 millimeters thick, and causes damage through it. We think it's undesirable to be able to cause significant damage with HE shells just by shooting at the front of armored vehicles. We have a solution for this issue. The idea is that HE shells will stop dealing damage based on volume. Instead, damage will be calculated at the point of impact. At the same time, the ability to cause damage without armor penetration will be preserved. Now that we've changed the HE shell mechanics, we're ready to test them out. The plan is to stop taking shell burst into account when calculating damage to armor, in cases where an HE shell hits the armor but fails to penetrate it. When hitting armor, a shell will still try to penetrate it and, if it fails, will detonate on the armor. But the resulting shell fragments won't search for the most advantageous spot to cause damage to. Instead, the shell mechanics will cause spalling, armor fragments breaking off inside the vehicle. It is spalling that will cause damage to armor, and armor fragments scattering inside the vehicle can inflict damage to internal modules and crew members. The technical
So that's pretty good explanation. This is an exceptionally good video explaining how HE works. Now I've done this experiment with them. All the community contributors were taken into special sessions with HE Rebalance, and we did get to try this out beforehand, and it was impressed upon the developers that getting this message through accurately to the players was a very important thing to do, because most players are going to try out the sandbox once or twice, and one, 2, 3 games, and then form an opinion whether it's going to be positive or negative. So it was very crucial that they get this message across, i.e. making a video like this, present it accurately, and make sure that the majority of people understand what is going on before they try out the sandbox server. So kudos to Wargaming for making this absolutely very good, informative video. And yeah, let's go on to the next clip. That is the important part. Let's go.
Let's get back to the mouse and FV. In the new system, when hitting the mouse's cheek, the HE shell fails to penetrate the armor and simply detonates. But now, it doesn't seek out the weakest spot in the splash radius, which was the 50mm thick hull cover. Instead, it directly engages the armor at the point of impact, the mouse's cheek, which is 260mm thick. Now the mouse will receive a lot less damage than with the old mechanic. This new system also helps avoid some logic gaps. For example, when you fire at the side of the mouse's turret, not the front. Here, the German's armor is 50mm thinner, and it would be logical to assume that the damage caused would be higher. But with the current mechanic, it's not the case. This happened because the game's mechanics can't find a 50mm thick spot within a spherical radius when shooting at the turret's side that would be as advantageous as shooting at the turret's front. The new mechanics will cause a shell to detonate upon contact with armor, spall inside the vehicle, and, thanks to its effect on the armor at the point of impact, do greater damage than a shot to the turret's front would do. Therefore, we'll have a direct correlation between the armor thickness at the spot where the shell hits and the amount of damage inflicted. To put it simply, the thinner the armor, the higher the damage. How does it work when there are screens between the armor and the shell? Now, HE shells can penetrate small objects and screens the same way AP shells do. HE shells will lose a part of the armor penetration after interacting with an obstacle or a screen, as AP shells do. But AP shells might not penetrate the armor after piercing through a screen, while the spalling mechanic still works for HE shells. This means that if an HE shell reaches the armor, damage is guaranteed. Let's get back to our poor mouse. With the current mechanics, when the FV fires at the German's gun mantlet, the same principle of the HE shell works as if we fired at its cheek. In the new revision of the mechanics, the FV won't cause any damage when it shoots at the mantlet. The shell lacks the armor penetration capability to pass through the screen, and since there's no spalling off of screens, there will be no damage at all. Now, if you don't penetrate a screen, you don't cause any damage. Let's take another example, the Oho and Super Pershing. The Oho caused 2 to 300 damage to points 1 and 2 consistently at this angle in the old revision of the HE shell's mechanics. While firing at these points with the new mechanics in place, the shell will try to penetrate the screen, but it will fail. In this case, the shell will cause 0 damage. But what will happen if you shoot at point 2 from another angle? The effective armor of the screen at this spot will be penetrated by an HE shell fired by the Oho. Next, the shell reaches the vehicle's turret, detonates, and fragments are scattered inside the Super Pershing, causing between 150 and 200 damage to the vehicle. The new shell system will provide the same interaction with tracks. We already know that an HE shell will cause 0 damage if it doesn't penetrate a screen, but the same result can be achieved even if it's penetrated. If an HE shell penetrates a screen, it will continue its motion. If there is no armor behind a track, an HE shell won't hit anything and won't detonate. It will just pass through and cause no damage. If an HE shell penetrates a track and reaches armor, damage is guaranteed. The same rules also applied to wheeled vehicles. It's important to remember several things. All these changes are applicable to tanks' HE shells only and have nothing to do with the artillery that will be tested during one of our future Sandbox iterations. The HE splash will remain capable of affecting objects. You will still be able to use it to destroy a building or fell a tree. The stoplight system will be improved. Now it will correctly display the damage from HE shells. Red, no damage. Yellow, partial damage. Green, penetration with full damage. The notifications will also appear for not penetrating a screen, a wheel, a track, and also for a shell not hitting the armor. We'll also pay special attention to premium vehicles and vehicles with high explosive shell gameplay. The changes to HE shells in the Sandbox are a hypothesis that we need to check together. Now we need to test the main mechanics. Only after that can we apply detailed settings and specific numbers.
Alright, so what can I say, man? This is actually a really well-produced video explaining how the mechanics work and how you can enjoy this new mechanic and adapt it to your playstyle. So kudos to Wargaming. If you really want to watch the entire video, you can watch it. But basically, I've cut it down for you to all the important parts. What else is there left to do? Go ahead and download the Sandbox server and test it out for yourself. Find out if this is going to be good for the game going forward. Everybody must participate in all four episodes of Sandbox testing, and then your final verdict at the end of the month or at the end of next month. Make sure you let Wargaming know that you like it or you do not like it, and then let's see what Wargaming does. Thanks for watching. I will see you on the next video. Bye bye.